Why is it that in Genesis chapter 4, Cain is so worried about running into strangers out in the world who might know what he did, when he and his parents are supposed to be the only human beings on the entire planet? Hey everybody, I'm Dan McClellan. I'm a scholar of the Bible and religion. And throughout Genesis chapter 4, the narrative seems to presuppose a fully inhabited world. In verse 17, it says Cain knew his wife. Who's this wife? Where did she come from? What was her initial relationship with Cain? None of this fits well with the story in Genesis chapters 2 and 3 of Adam and Eve and their children being the only human beings on the planet. And for centuries, people have tried to harmonize these two narratives by arguing that Adam and Eve had dozens of other children and that this provided wives for these men and they were just incestuous and that was just okay at the time. And there are all kinds of just tortured attempts to try to read harmony into these two stories. And the answer to the question of why these texts disagree is quite simple. The majority of scholars agree the author of Genesis 4 was just a different person from the author of Genesis 2 and 3. And they were not presupposing that Adam and Eve and their children were the only human beings on earth. The tradition comes from a different time and place where Cain was not the only other human on the entire planet other than his parents, where there were other cities, there were other lands that already had names, there were women out there that they could take as wives. This is all presupposed by the author of Genesis 4, who, again, the majority of scholars agree, is not the same author as the author of Genesis 2 and 3. And the only reason to reject this conclusion is that you can't accept it because of dogmatism. And that puts the dogma over the data rather than data over dogma. And the fit for this video is Rick and Morty.